So hard for me not to jerk it because the scared of hotness.
I miss me some. I don't chicken anymore, but I wish I could, and I wish I could. Make me sick. It just make me sick. Can't eat it.
You know what
But
goes now too? Curry chicken. I can't do curry chicken, but I could do curry goat.
yes, now the goat all day long. Okay, I have no shame in eating any goat. I'm not sorry. They that's what they're supposed to be. I remember when I went to Jamaica when I was like 6 years old. I remember my uncle had a goat and I was playing with the goat in the backyard and I'm like, this is my friend. We're like, this goat is so awesome. I never saw a goat in my life and I animals. Girl, one day I don't know if we went to church and I came back and I'm like, where the goat? And my uncle was like, oh, him run off and him not go come back. Him run off. And I'm like, how did he get up? Him chop the chain. Well, how did he get the chain? Girl, that night was eating the goat that night, girl. My friend. I was eating my friend. And it was good. He was good though. It was delicious.
Girl,
so
they ain't hide me. At least they try to hide it from you. They gut that goat out the gully and gut that goat upside down and gut him. And everybody talking what pieces of the goat they wanted. Oh yes, that's okay. All right.
Yes, goat and lamb. I like lamb though too. I tried duck before. What?
Lamb is so easy to season.
Yes, it's so good. Like, it's just good. Anyway,
if you try to cook lamb and you mess it up, you're a horrible cook.
Yeah. We did try to cook duck one time, and I was like, "Why did meat don't come off the duck? We weren't cooking that duck right. We just had it so wrong."
I had duck twice. It's just like a softer version of chicken to me.
Yeah. If somebody cooks it really, really good, it can't if you like, I don't know who, like my mother-in-law, she cooks duck really, really good. But me and Kevin tried it one time and I was like, I don't think this is the way, like it was just dry in some parts and then it was like stuck to the bone. And then we was like, we couldn't even we couldn't tear like the legs off or the wing off or nothing. So yeah, we can't cook. Don't ever let me convince you if we're cooking duck that it's a good thing for you to eat the duck with us. Just be like, girl, you told me about the time y'all done cook that duck, right?
Let me write that down. Let me remember this.
Write it down, girl. Like, Kevin cooking a duck? Oh no, I bought chicken.
Oh man. I haven't attempted duck by myself, but I've had it. It's okay. It's okay.
So tell us, Chan. Tell us she gets it pod about.
Yes, and we're Cozy Womb podcasting it tonight too.
Ooh.
Change my name. This episode right here is going on Cozy Womb podcast, so I'm gonna try to refrain from my language.
Okay.
But I mean, if it slips up, it's okay. But I just tonight, I brought this topic up to Eruth because we have like side topics when we're just chatting it up and sharing things on the gram. And I said, Eruth, let's do a show on Saturday night. Give Greg a little break. And let's talk about kids acting grown and how it isn't cute. And I think between Eruth being a mom of multiple children and myself, I think we can handle this topic tonight.
Yeah. You want to go soft first and then really get into like the dirt? Okay, wait. Let me just say this. Okay, so there is this clip of, I don't know, what song is it with the girl that she's like, a little bit of some waist on thinner, waist on thinner. I can tell you how to nigga. I was like, what
is that? City Girls?
I don't know.
I don't know these women. The only woman that I know that I've heard songs from and I can say, okay, that's her song, is Megan. But I don't know these other women, and I'm just like, I would never have my child listen to this.
Never. And it's not worth it. But you know what's so funny? I remember I grew up in Miami, and I remember there used to be like booty shaking contests, and I
Oh,
mean like little kids.
the home of Luke. Okay.
It was much too much. And I
Yeah.
remember being like, okay, the song, I'm not going to name the song because these are four, and I did say the N word, so y'all forgive me. But the my ear muffs were always like on right. Like, okay, wait a minute. I think my daddy would spank me if I listened to
Uh,
he say this. He's gonna beat me. I can't listen to this. And so they had this song called, in the beginning of the song, it's a child that's saying very adult words. And
yeah.
it's just like the song, your mama's on crack rock. Like, why are these kids singing?
Yo. I mean, I knew of those songs, but it was like in my home, in Philly with my both of my parents. It was like you weren't even allowed to say the word bum.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? So cussing was so far fetched. And
yeah.
then when we moved to like Baltimore, Maryland, and you got to play outside more, the kids were, you know, which kid was just like super fresh.
Yes.
And the other kids is just like, I'm not gonna go over there and play with them because they always getting in shit. And
Yes.
um, you know, the kids now. There's every kid.
Well, I remember being in no, I was probably I think I was going to second grade. It was like summer school, and I was talking to this girl. She was so cute, and I remember her. She had a little purse, and she had her her little shorts and stuff. And she was like, "My mommy said that I'm gonna be getting my period." I'm like, "What's a period? What's that?" Because we're like literally like in first grade, second grade, I think. And I was like, "Well, what is that?" She's like, my mama's gonna get me my period." And she said, "I'm gonna be a woman."
My mama's gonna give me my period. This is not how this works, sis.
And then you're gonna be a woman too? Oh, okay. What is that? And I remember home, and I didn't have any sisters at no time. This is before my dad remarried with my stepmom, and I had stepsisters. I just had my brothers, and I remember asking my brother like, "What's a period?" He was like, "I don't know." And then
Oh,
about what it was, I was like, "Oh, this is so sad. Why was she talking about this when she was like in the second grade? Why is she feeling like she is on her way to adulthood in the second grade? What is that about?"
because she's too busy being in grown folk discussions,
Mm,
which is another thing on one of my lists to talk about how kids they they're too grown. They know too much, and when what they need to know, they don't know. So this is how I broke this episode up. I
okay.
broke it up to things society gives kids today, right?
Mm,
I broke it up into what kids need. As a mother, I do not allow. I'm sure you have your own things you don't allow with your children. And
yes.
I broke it up into boundaries kids need, and then everything else we can just fill in.
Okay.
So
Well,
what you want first? What is our like some of your pet peeves? What you see with kids today that you just like? My mom would have slapped me in the back of my neck so hard.
I think for me, it's just the way that children talk to their parents. And that's
Mm.
always been a problem for me. I remember being a kid and seeing my white friend like go to town. Shut up, mom. I'm like,
Mm.
can you hear me? What
Yeah.
happened? What happened? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Shut up, mom, or yelling, or I mean, but then again, in my household too, I just heard my step siblings just go to town talking to my like my parents any kind of way they want to. So my dad like literally would slap any disrespect out of my mouth. I couldn't say what when I was responding back to my dad.
Yeah.
My dad's from Jamaica. Me and both Shannon and I were our parents are from Jamaica. So there's
Yeah.
a very specific thing about how children talk to adults that you cannot run with these days. And it's so funny because when I talk to my kids, sometimes I feel like, damn, was I too heavy handed? Like sometimes I have to like
I'm
pull,
always like that.
you know? Yeah, am I like pulling someone? Am I pulling like I'm almost trying to pull teeth trying to talk to them? I'm like, did I silence them so much that they feel like any way that they respond back to me is gonna be a problem? I'm like, what you said? Huh? You can't
Listen
huh?
here. I have two girls. I have a 7-year old and a 3-year old, and Ari has not registered that she cannot respond to me what. So we're constantly having a back and forth about me calling her name and her saying what. I'm just like, who you talking to?
Right.
She said, you call me. I said, yeah, but you don't say what to me. I'm not your friend. And she'll just say, she won't say nothing else. She'll smile and be like, what's going on?
Cause she know. Cause
I'm
mama didn't.
just like, yo, you want to fight? That is always my question for my kids when they getting beyond smart. I'm just like, you want to fight?
Right. Well, my oldest daughter, she like, so you growing up and you get a spanking, they're like, who you huffing your puffing your chest at? And I never
Yeah,
ice like I did not know what that meant when my dad would say it to me
yeah,
until like I think I got old enough to realize I was doing it. Like, oh, okay. And then when I see my oldest daughter, she clenches her fist and starts to look like she's brown skin, dark skinned girl. And her face is red. And I'm like,
oh,
oh, you you gonna fight? You want to fight? girl,
yeah,
girl, come
yeah,
on. You don't want to fight your mother. We don't have to begin the relationship this way. So my pet peeves are like just my kids seeing other kids behave a certain way and then trying to try it. Who you trying?
yeah.
Don't you know what house you was raised in? What about yours?
Yeah, I noticed that a lot with sending the girls to camp and
Mm,
mirror what other kids around them do and say. I've had a conversation with a camp director about one of the kids um, asking my 7-year, well, my 6-year-old at the time, do you want to be my girlfriend?
oh,
And
oh,
well, she handled it. She was like, no. And she was, well, why not? And she was like,
oh.
because girl, I don't like girls, and we don't even need to be talking about this.
I,
That was her response, but I allowed her to explain to me her
right,
day. So I just called up the director and I was like, so we have a child in the class. This is her name. This is what she asked my child. I don't know what's going on in her house, but I need that not to be a conversation among other kids in the room.
right.
And so, they handled it, but it's just adults have to be mindful of the fact that kids are interpreting what they think is going on in the house, outside, in conversation. And if you don't sit them aside and explain it to them, or limit yourself to have adult discussions when kids are not around,
Yeah,
what is going on in that house is going to come into your kid's life because they interact with each other. So that's why it always frustrates me when parents was like, I don't talk to my child about color. I don't see color. People are people. And I treat everybody the same, and we don't talk about same-sex marriage, we don't talk about sex. I'm not ready to talk to my child about that, but you send them to school, but you send them to a playground, but you
yeah,
send them to a camp. So you're leaving your child to fend for themselves, to figure out what is what. I would rather uh preserve my child's not knowing by giving them everything they need to know before they leave my house.
right.
Not saying that you should do it, not saying that it is right, not saying that something is not wrong, but this is what this is. If it ever comes up in a discussion, this is what this person is talking about. It is wrong, it is incorrect. You do not, just because you hear the N word in songs
Right.
and you see other people use the N word, you do not use the N word. Today I was watching Homeland. I don't know if you ever watched,
Yes.
but
I'm
it was,
off the last couple of those. I need to catch up on the.
yeah, that's what I was catching up on. And she saw the women in the hair thing that covers their hair, right? Can't remember what
Hijab.
it's right.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, why do they wear that? I said, it's their culture. That's something they believe in, that they're supposed to wear to cover their hair. And whenever you see a little girl with that, or anybody with that, you never play as if you're going to take it off, because
Yeah.
it's, she's never seen anybody like that in real life. But at
Right.
least I prepared her for it.
Right.
So we cannot, as parents, act like this is not a thing outside of our home, even though it is not our practice.
Yeah. And that's when you get into like the whole thing about how people just as adults, right? I don't know if we know enough about other people's cultures or about how other people are different communities, right? So the community some of the communities I was growing up in, it was okay for you to see little girls twerking and popping. And then also in other cultures, like in West African culture, it's normal for little girls to just dance, right? And it's not considered twerking. It's just culture. It's just like dance thing. But here it's once you start introducing the language, right? Once you start talking about adult things within the music with the
Mm.
dance, then it becomes problematic. And my other pet peeve too is that, you know, what you were saying earlier about parents not realizing that children, and it's all of our parents, like my parents, didn't realize that some of the things that they were saying around us that we were picking up. Like my dad, I remember my dad getting pulled over by the police and him turning around and saying to me, Eruth, what do you say? Don't follow don't listen to what I say or follow what I say. And then when the officer came back, he's like, pusso or bomba
Mm.
father, you know I want to use those words. I can't wait.
Right.
But also at the same time, I was like, okay, he's telling me like I'm an adult. What you're gonna hear me say and do is for me as an adult. You are a child. You stay in your, and the fact that I don't think enough parents are making clear that distinction, because I think some people do feel like with the TikTok, this TikTok culture and
And
Snapchat and all this different stuff, it's like I need to be in it in order to be a part of it, in order to feel like
yeah.
I'm on the level with my child, but you're not on the level with your child, and you're
Okay.
actually the
Let's
reason.
stop. Let's stop, Eruth, because I want to get through these messages and then I want to get into the TikTok talk.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
Are you Jamaican? She
Yes.
gets it? Because I feel like you have a little Caribbean Islander in you. Either
Yeah.
that or you just have a really good homemade recipe from your family.
Yes. Um, my
Don't
mom never gives like the full rest. Well, I don't know if this is a Jamaican thing across the board, but they never tell you exactly step by step what you need for your dishes. They give you like the overall, get this. And then when you see them do it, they add in extra. I'm just like, what is that? You never told me to add in that.
right.
So I think seeing my mom cook it so many times, I just pick up the seasonings I'm supposed to have all the time, and then I just add to it, and then you figure out like your own flavoring of stuff. But it was
Yeah,
pretty good. It was pretty good. I
you did
enjoyed
your
it. Yes.
you did your thing.
That's a damn shame. I hate when our parents or relatives lie to us about our dead pets, our animal friends. God damn it, I can relate.
No.
Me
No.
too. That's the
No.
life. That's how children should be the lives children should be living. You should be okay with having a pet, talking about your pet, and that's your life. Talking about your
Listen,
dead fish.
Anya asked me 3 days ago, what happened to our fish that we had in the fish tank? I said, Anya, I threw them outside. She's like, why you killed them? I said, because y'all don't understand. Like, it's a lot of money to maintain a fish tank that y'all can't help me with. And I was
Right.
having my weekends be set water aside, clean the fish tank, empty the fish tank, put the fish tank on the bookshelf, make sure the bookshelf's not getting wet. Like,
It's too much. Yeah.
I was like, y'all not ready for a pet until y'all
Yeah.
can take care of the pet. So we ain't got to talk no pet talk. So I tell them all the time, like, death is a thing. Things
Yeah.
and some things you can buy, but you cannot buy people.
Yes. That's real. People look. I know a lot of people stay away from having those type of conversations, but when are you gonna wait for that to happen? When
Yeah.
death, then you're trying to figure out, oh my God, don't destroy your life now because you're scared about dying. Like it is. Yeah.
Let me hit this.
Oh no, you did not just say Mr. Goat or Mrs. Goat. Was finger looking good? Oh no.
He
Yeah, well, at
was
least he didn't go to waste.
Exactly. It's
good.
delicious.
Yeah.
Kids acting growers are not cute. That is true. What's going on? She gets sick
What's
pie
up?
and Eruth. Love the title. I know it look like you guys started today. Like right now. Listen, that's why I was talking to one of my homeboys today, bro. Kids, bro. This generation are not, bro. They're not. Bro, I'm sorry, man. I will beat the hell on my son and my daughter if I see that. I'm sorry, what the hell we do? What the hell people are doing? What the parents are doing, man?
Yeah.
You feel me? I just it make me disappointed as a father.
Yeah.
They don't have boundaries.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully you don't have to get to the point where you have to spank your kids, because hopefully they would have been obedient enough to not have to, to know better.
Yeah.
You grow up in a household that tell you how to do better. I mean, you wait till you get outside the house. Obviously, when you get out the house, you're like, I'm about to be living my life. I hope my daddy don't see me now.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen.
Next
Hey, Ruth, what's your best dish when you make food? And you too, she get sick pot. Man, I like to cook. I like to cook, and I like to challenge when people want me to like cook something. I want to see what's your best dish for both of you. Now that's my topic right there, food. Yeah, blessing, Queens, shalom,
Shalom.
happy Sabbath day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to go first?
I like stews. I like making stews and soups. Like my favorite. That's about it.
Okay. My go-to dish that I could cook over and over again, is probably some lamb, some like chopped lamb, the chunks, and some rice, some jasmine rice, and some cabbage. Like that's all I go to. It cooks really fast and it seasons well, like I said before. And the kids love it. I love it, and it's usually gone within that same night. There's never any leftovers. There's never no leftovers of that. But yeah, that's my favorite thing to cook. And then my second favorite thing would be like sweet mashed potatoes and salmon, some fresh salmon. Yeah.
Ackee and saltfish. That's kind of, well, saltfish more so than anything. Saltfish dishes are like the best. I
They
just
are,
like
but
corn
this
hash,
whole
corned
thing,
beef.
you gotta go to the farmer's market and get that stuff.
I know. And then everything's so expensive now too. Like
Hello?
a whole can of ackee is like $15. Just one can or
That's
some
a
shit, like ridiculous.
that's a fact.
Oh, sorry. I just used the bad one.
Hey, she gets it pod and Miss Eruth. Miss Boston here, just hanging out with you guys for a second. Yeah, kids acting grown has never been cute. I have a 12 and a 13-year-old daughter, and trust me when I tell you, what I feel most proud about is the fact that they are so well behaved from the inside out. Their interests, the choice in their friends, their discretion, like watching them build their own little like code of ethics. I will give myself that. I've raised so far two very sweet girls. Yeah, so anything else wouldn't fly in this house, but I'm just glad it is what it is. So yeah, shout out to the parents who are doing their best to discipline with love.
Yes.
And remember that love is discipline.
Yeah, it is. That's a fact.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing, Boston. It's so true though too. Like I think that's something that I don't think that we do enough, is give ourselves credit for doing the best and having the outcome show.
Yeah.
As parents, right? Like we're so used to, you hear the spank that someone mentioned earlier, I would spank my kids. Like that's kind of the way that we've always been talking about discipline. Like I got to spank my kids and that's how they're going to turn out being good. But to her, what she just said is so true. Love is discipline. Tough love is discipline. And it doesn't have to be with the belt. Although I have learned my lesson that I have started off with the belt because that's how I was taught. And then I learned.
Oh, okay. I had one parent that was like, get me my belt, I will flip over my own furniture and buy it back if I break it, right? And I have another parent who was like one of 13 and her parents did not play, and she just was the total opposite as a parent, and she didn't whip us. She never said, oh, you grounded, none of that. So imagine growing up in the house, being the youngest, the only girl, and 5 boys. They're all older. And the house was like ruckus. And then on top of that, the house was always the kid house on the block. So, parent, I give chances. I give you 2 chances. And then after the second time, I'm not talking. You just gonna
Yeah.
get whatever you get, and if the belt ain't near, you gonna get these hands. But what I do that a lot of parents growing up when I was little didn't do is I'm going to explain to you after why it got to the that it got to and how you can avoid it next time. So like I think us growing up, a lot of parents who were like, "Get me the belt, you're gonna get a whooping." They never took the time to sit and talk and discuss what just happened, what just took place, how can it be prevented, what can I do better next time so that never happens again. I think it was just like, you did this, I'm gonna hit you, I'm gonna beat you, I'll feed you tonight, I'll see you tomorrow.
Right. But I
And then
want to explain
and then
why.
the same
Yeah.
thing. And then you just like, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. That conversation is never had. I feel like we needed the discussion that we never had. So I give my kids the discussion. And
Yeah.
so I don't make them feel like, oh my God, that's my mom. Let me stop having fun. Let me straighten up. Let me act like, I'm a perfect human being. I let them, whenever I come in the room, it's just regular. Like
Right.
exactly what we was doing before you got here. You're just here now, right? Because when you make your child feel like they have to be a certain way in front of you, they are never that way when you leave.
That's so true.
If you're faking the funk in front of me, then I don't know who you are when I leave. I don't know who you are when you're in college. I don't know who you are when you go out late at night. I don't know how you treat other people for real. And we have to notice that as we raise our kids now, because as they
Yeah.
get older, especially with these devices and stuff, they could be
Yeah.
people online.
Yeah. And you know what? That's so true that is something that we do have to pay attention to because my two boys, their big thing is playing the video game. They always got some kind of device. I don't know how they find the devices. I'm like, didn't we just take that Kindle?
Yeah.
Who? And Kevin's always like, look what I found. God damn it. Just sorry. Kids. I need to do better. Okay. So we find all these things. So every time if I'm coming in the room, they're supposed to be doing their work or what have you. I will notice, I can see the clicking off. And I'm like, listen, y'all do know that like I grew up in the age of like Yahoo Messenger. I knew when my parents are coming around the corner, I had to be like, can't talk to you right now. Gotta go. Like I know these things, like you're not doing anything new that I haven't seen. But what I do think is important is to call it out every single time. Don't ever make that discomfort linger, right? Like you're going to be uncomfortable about me having to call out what you're doing. Oh, well, deal with it. I know now. Your secret ain't no secret. And I think that because the kids are going to manipulate. They're going to find ways to, my daughters are the sweetest pie around me all the time. Even when I'm talking to them and I get things out of them, they're still sweethearts. But I know that when they go off into the world, because we did sort of, I don't want to say shelter them. We never let them go to people's houses, like just anybody's house. If they were at somebody else's house, like we had to be there, or they had to be at our house. Like we were just very protective about them because of my experiences, being a kid and stuff
Yeah.
that shouldn't have happened that did happen. But they're going to manipulate, they're going to try it, they're going to get off into the world, and they're going to be different people because I think kids are always different people than when they're at home. But I still think that if you raise them right, they'll make good choices. They'll still be in a room full of people, hot asses. Like I had a lot of hot friends, and I would still be like, "No, girl, I'm not going to go. I'm not riding it. I'm not doing anything. I'm not getting in the car. I'm not stuff with y'all." But I'll
Yeah.
sit back and look at what y'all doing, and then talk about y'all together in y'all faces and tell y'all about yourselves. Like
Yeah.
the next day, I was one of them friends that I would just be around. So I think what you teach them does make a difference in what the choices they make, even if they pretend that there's somebody else when they're away from you.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
I'm glad you made this topic because stereotypically, children often are deemed as unruly, disobedient, um,
Yeah,
untamable, referred to as wild animals when they act out. So this
Mhm.
is a good one,
yeah,
like
Thank,
many other topics you've had.
thank you.
yes,
All right. I want to get these down to at least 5, and then we can
yes,
get back on the TikTok.
for
I'm
sure.
I'm from South Florida, and my middle school dances was wild,
Ooh,
wild, wild, wild,
oof.
like freaknik wild.
Oh
Until
no.
the administrators had to break people up
Ooh,
because it was very inappropriate.
Oh my God, I can imagine. I can't be no teacher, dog. I can't. There's no
Yeah,
way.
Florida's about that life. Florida's about that life. In elementary school, they used to have dances, like Friday dances. Like, why are we having dances in the... And kids will be dancing to R. Dot Kelly.
Kelly. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Have you ever seen a sound like this?
Girl. I was like, can we... I know. And my dad walked
Why
up and he
was it
was like,
provided? Okay.
girl.
Well,
I
you know
think...
what a lot of people don't know is schools in Georgia and in Texas and in Florida still has segregated proms.
Mm,
And
sad.
that's wild to me. But it's a thing.
Mm.
So, you know, things
What
to
do they
think.
think they're protecting these kids from when they do that? Like, they're gonna leave the house at some point, right? They're gonna travel, right? They're gonna see the
I
people that
think
you told them not to meet.
it's just a reminder. It's a reminder that who's still in charge because you're
Yeah,
not from anything.
yeah.
So, you know. All right, you go play another one.
Okay.
Listen, I was basically one day on Walmart and I saw, oh my God, I saw this, at least this 12 years old screaming to his mom and cursing his mom. And his mom was like so embarrassing. Like she was like, she didn't know how to say. So I was like, and I go to her mom and said, do you really gonna let your kid talking to you in the front of everybody like this, like he's your father or something? And I basically go straight to this kid and I look straight, staring in his eyes. And I look in his eyes and listen, you're just a child, right? If ever me, brother, I will beat you right here in the front of everybody since you think you'll grow. But you know, as a humble man, as a respectful man, I don't do that kind of stuff. But I told her mom, bro, you need to put your kids in order. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole other topic about the parents who don't want to put them in order, and then we'll buck up. Oh, you want to put your fists up? Okay.
Yeah.
I can't. It's abuse.
I love when kids make examples for my kids to be like, Mom, look at that child just acting up.
Yes.
I said, oh yeah, I see him.
Yes.
And we out. Like they know what's not acceptable. Like I'm not taking a child nowhere that feels like they can talk to me any type of way.
Yeah.
You must be crazy.
Yeah.
when I look at this kid, I said, listen, who the fuck are you talking to? You feel me? Like, who are you talking to your mom like this, bro? And I'm like, listen, if it me, I will grab you and drag you straight to the street and beat the hell out of you. You know? Because I come from the Hispanic family. And trust me, you know how Hispanic are. We don't play neither. I always get slapped by the chancleta. Sometimes I'm slapped with a belt. Bro, listen, giving attitude to your parents in that time. I'm from the 90s, man. I'll get beat the hell out in the front of Walmart like a freaking bomber, you know, a bomb, you know, like a fire department jumping to me. You know what I'm saying? Now this time, bro, kids think it's okay to disrespect their parents, bro. I was like, you know what? Let me do my thing for my kids. I hope my kids go, and that's why I'm raising my kids right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yes.
Then the lady looked at me and said, "Oh my God, I'm thank you for putting him straight up." You know, I said, "Listen, it's not me." I told her, "You don't have to tell me. You gotta basically put yourself together as a mom and put this. It's so hard." And she's a white lady. She's trying, telling me, I said, "Listen, it's not that. You need to put yourself together. I know it's hard to be a single mom, but you need to put this kid in single one because I'm telling you this." 10 more years, this kid, when he's 23, it's harder for you to control him, and I'm telling you, he's gonna get in trouble, he's gonna get in jail, he's gonna die. I can see in the future, put this kid somewhere, discipline this child. Now this time, bro, children don't care to hate parents, don't care to curse parents, they don't care to do whatever, and this is a bad generation right now, especially with people that have kids now young. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
And that's something else I want to talk about. about how kids will take advantage of their parents' love for them.
Mm-hmm.
As older, they start to manipulate very young, and they know that their parents will do anything for them, especially if you are a single parent. They'll target you and make you feel guilty, being that
Mm-hmm.
they might not have another parent, so you do more and you go above and beyond, and they manipulate it and they act out, and they know that you really can't do that much because you have to work or you can't be around all the time, and take advantage of that. I have a best friend who's 42.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's 42, and her son got arrested and locked up as a juvenile when he was 17. He got released and he was on probation when he was 21. And he got caught up with a group of friends robbing
Oh
uh,
no.
stores and liquor stores in Georgia and Louisiana. The last one he did, it was on the news. They went to this cigar shop, and the guy went to go rob it. He was just playing lookout, and he had the gun over the worker's face, and his wallet and his phone was on the top, and he was emptying the register, and the guy that worked there went to grab the gun, and it went off and shot him in the face and killed him.
Oh God.
Both of them got time, up to 15 separate charges, because in Georgia they charge you separately. Um,
Oh my
and
God.
he won't get out of jail or have parole until she's in her 80s.
Oh my God.
And he went in there when he was 22.
Mm.
So she could never reel him in, because he was always manipulating the fact that she felt guilty for his father not being around, and her family like kind of raising him when he was in DC, and then she tried to play catch up when he was already a teenager and it was too late. So he manipulated her a lot. And that's where he is.
And I think so. I think that's such an unfortunate story, and it's I could say that something similar happened to my stepmom, well, my stepbrother, and he sort of was kind of like a train off the tracks and was just wild as nobody's business. And I remember being a little younger and just be like, how come y'all let him? Is anybody gonna step in here? And my
Mm-hmm.
parents are, I mean, my dad was heavy handed when it came down to me. Like, you can't go anywhere with, unless you're going with one of your sisters, one of your stepsisters. Like, you can't go out here when you're with your friends you need to be over here in the house. Like, they were just when I'm the youngest, so when it came down to me, it was like heavy handed. But I remember seeing him do just a bunch of foolishness all the time. And my other, my brother we had the same mom and dad, he also was doing a bunch of shenanigans too, just kind of following along with my stepbrother. And they both ended up being, going in prison. And my stepbrother, he ended up he got his sentence in Florida. And what he did was like, he shot off a gun when he was like 17.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't nobody got killed, but in Florida, they have the 10, 20 to 30, which is really just a setup to get black children
Yeah.
in prison, right? But he did that when he was like 17, I think, or maybe 16, 17, maybe. Went to prison for a year, had parole, and then I don't know what he was on, what kind of drug he was on, or what have you, and went and looked like he was trying to rob people in the mall, or just like harassing people or something, holding people up. And they gave him 30 years. Nobody died or anything like that, but it just goes to show, like, even you can have parents of the same household, just like he was talking about, where some kids are going to get the discipline and the other kids just don't. And he was just not a child that could be disciplined. He was just so out of control in his behavior that he had to fall on his face the hard way. And some kids are like, some kids we're not going to be able to save. You can give them all the teaching you can. You can try to step in and try to control them, but they're going to have to fall on their face themselves too.
Honestly, and this could be like a whole another episode within itself.
Yeah.
People give birth to their demons.
Yeah. Mm.
And I'm not saying that your child is just horrible and just a menace to society, but sometimes there's not enough love, there's not enough discipline, there's not enough authority that
Yeah.
will your child It's just everything negative between you and the person that came together. And I believe this fully, that some people are here to make changes and change lives, and some people are here to be an example. And
Yes.
some kids come out of their parents genetically, and there's nothing that you can do to change their mind. They are just here to be example of what not to do.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So,
Oof. Oof.
okay.
Oh my God.
I don't know where that was going. I didn't trust it.
Was going nowhere, girl. Nowhere.
Trust it.
I don't know your relationship with your children, but I will say be careful with the way that you use the words, I'm not your friend, I'm your parent, or I'm not your friend, I'm your mom. Because that can really lay down like the law of like, don't talk to me about anything as if I'm your friend. That can kind of make or break any communication that they have with you later on, or they may feel that they can't have any communication with you later on. I know this because my dad did that, and I was like, okay, well, what can I say? And now I don't even know how to talk to him about anything. So we kind of just don't talk. Like at all. It's really awkward.
All right. So when I tell my kids, don't address me like that or don't talk to me like that, it's out of manners. It's never out of.
Did you know using your browser in incognito mode doesn't actually protect your privacy? Take back your privacy with IPVanish VPN. Just one tap and all your data, passwords, communications, browsing history, and more will be instantly protected. IPVanish makes you virtually invisible online. Use IPVanish on all your devices, anytime you go online at home and especially on public Wi-Fi. Get IPVanish now for 70% off a yearly plan with this exclusive offer at ipvanish.com/audio.
Like, you're not allowed to talk to me about your cartoon because I don't watch that. I'm above those cartoons.
Right.
But you're not allowed to talk to me about what you saw on YouTube. I'm above that. I don't watch YouTube. It's more so like, this is how you address an adult. You don't respond what. You don't say, give me some juice. In this manners. And I think a lot of kids today don't have someone saying, these are manners, have them. Don't address me a certain way. You get nothing when you talk to me that way. I will ignore you until you say it the right way. Because my grandfather will have you come in and out of the door after school 10 times until you figured out that I'm supposed to say good evening when I open the door. And I think kids today don't know that.
He really is.
Listen, kids today don't know that because, one, there's nobody home when they get out of school. 2, there's nobody reinforcing the fact that you must say good evening to everyone when you walk into a house, or when you walk into anybody's house. You speak, even though you don't know who they are, and then you wash your hands, you go about business and carry on. But it's a standard of addressing adults that have to be brought back.
Yeah, I agree. And just to add to that, I know I can see the point in that, and not wanting to tell your children, I'm not your friend, because you do want to have channel communication. But I think each child is different. From my oldest daughter, I have to literally, and she's been like this since she was little. I have to, I don't know if this has anything to do with her being a Leo. I know Leos that are very open with their parents. Or basically their parents are nearly like their friends. And I know Leo moms who actually have a lot of friendship with their kids. For me, my stepmom was a Scorpio. She was not about I'm your friend or any of that stuff. It was this is what it is. You gonna do it or you're not. I'm gonna give you the real, from the roots up. You gonna know this is, you come correct, right? And I think that there's a fine line. You can tell your kids, listen, I'm not your friend, in the sense of, like you said, there's a level of respect that you come to the table when you're talking to me. But then also at the same time, you don't want your kids to get to a place where they feel like we are friends, because there should be a fine line. To be honest, when my children get older, I don't want to know all their adult business. I don't think it's necessary unless
I call my mom every week and I flash her sometimes on FaceTime with my titties and be like, yeah, they still here. It's still standing. It's still strong.
well, it's the thing, right? It's for me, it's like I don't feel like and I guess I'll use myself as an example because in my like late teens, early 20s when me and Ken were married really young, we didn't spend a lot of time, like I didn't spend a lot of time talking to my family about all my troubles and all my struggles because I know my family. I knew anytime he came around, it was gonna be like, button this bum up.
Right.
It don't even make any sense because now I gotta live with all that too. I gotta be in the room uncomfortable and all this stuff. And I've seen my parents do that when it comes down to like my siblings, significant others and all that stuff. So like for me, I want my kids to feel like, okay, when you have to say something, when you do want to share something because it's important, you need insight, you need guidance. Yes, come to me. But protect your own the fact that you're an individual and you're going through these experiences in life. And no, I'm your friend, I'm your parent, and I'm here to support you and guide you. But I'm not here to be like your friend in that sense that you have to rely on me to get through life.
Yeah. I'm not your crutch.
Right.
And they already know now, like, I don't like repeat myself. So when I show you how to go about certain things,
yes,
call me and be like, I need your help again. I'll be like, I can't help you.
Exactly.
Not because I can't help you, but I'm not helping you if I keep doing it.
Right. What did mommy say? What did I say? What did you hear me say? Yeah. Oh, you said, nope. That's what you wanted to hear me say.
Right.
And you did. That's on you. Consequences is yours. I've been teaching my kids since, and Kevin's always like, you're so heavy. You're too intense. And I'm like, no, I learned that way that there's consequences for everything that we do. And that's what it is. And when they become adults, same thing too.
As much as we love our kids, as much as Kev loves the kids also, I can't be everywhere with my child. I can't 24/7 protect my child. I don't have life set up like that. I was not a trust fund baby. I can't just go around the world and be like, I'm with my child all the time. I know what my child doing is all the time. Do you know where your kids are? I do all the time. I don't. And the older they get, the worse it's going to get. And I don't care how many iPhones you have, how many trackers you have, how many apps you have. They have whatever watch. If you put a chip in them like other parents do because they're just very controlling.
Yeah.
Cannot be your child's brain.
No.
Their life. You're going to have to set some seeds and water it and step away.
Yeah. It's hard out there for people. People don't know how to do that these days. It's hard.
Miss? Like, pop that titty out their mouth.
Okay.
Stop babying them.
Out that scene. I was like that. Yes.
And I cannot. All right, let's get these numbers down.
Okay. Hey, I have a virtual reality game, and I have no idea why some parents let their kids play those games because they're basically chat rooms for adults, and the rules are actually say you're supposed to be 18 and or some cases at least 16, but little kids get on there all the time, and they just really shouldn't be out there.
Another problem.
Talk about
we'll get that though later, right?
Is Roblox a child's game? Because it's shown as a child's game, but Anya was telling me that there's a game where someone on there asked her if she wanted to be their wife. Ooh. And I said, what kind of game is it? She was like, you kind of like pick characters. I said, so who's asking you? This other girl is asking me if I want to be her wife, and I said out of it. But that is what's happening in games with your children. They are influencing society adult thinking on relationships into games. They're trying to have a Mr. and Mr. Potato Head now that also has children, and a Mrs. and Mrs. Potato Head that also has children. This is my thing. I have no problem with people choosing the lifestyle that they want to live, the sexuality that they have, and how they see their family.
Yeah.
Other people's children don't have to be subjected to that thinking before they need to be subjected to that thinking. And coming into a child's game is interfering with a child's lifestyle and having a child, quote unquote, be in a childlike mindset. And
Yeah.
that's the problem why we have a lot of kids acting like they're grown, because society is introducing things into our children too early.
Yeah. And then when society does introduce, and then you point it out, then people are like, no, 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 you're over sexualizing, you're putting that on children. Yes, that might be true. It's unfortunate that that's true, because this is where we're at in our society today. But at the same time, we still have to have a standard, right? I mean, this is sort of one of the problems that I have too with technology, is that it's something we can't fully control. We can't be there all the time. We can't be the eyes there. But
Mhm.
there automatically should have been rules in place to be able to monitor these things, or the people that create the games, for them to monitor it properly. Because in my experience with my daughter, I ended up finding out that she was talking to someone. Actually, I couldn't make out the person's age, but the way that they were interacting with her, I was like, I had to sit down and talk to her and say, these behaviors are not behaviors of somebody that's your age. This is not how a 12-year-old talks. This
Mhm.
is somebody that has to be somebody that's older. And it was a good example for her to have that experience, because she's a very very open-hearted, welcoming. She's the one of the friends that will take on all her friends' problems and
Mhm.
make it her own. And I'm sort of glad that she had the experience, because she was able to see the difference in terms of somebody's behavior, right? If somebody's talking to you and asking you questions that starts to get to sexual things, or what is your house? Where do you live? What do what does it look like? Would you allow me to come to your house? That No. We have to be aware of those things. So it's a fine line, yet letting them still be kids, and then live navigating in a world that there are people that are going to try to take advantage of them. And then how do we catch that and stay on top of it? It's too much. Anyway.
Mm.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Listen, as like I said to most of the people, you gotta love you. You gotta love yourself to love your kids. You gotta respect yourself so you can love your kids.
True.
You know, we do so much for our kids now these days, so they can be happy and not struggle. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, my kids are very small, so they're learning now. My son is like in the middle, like I want to obey my dad or not. You know how boys is, but he listen, he respect, and then that's one thing I love my son. It's like when you say, "Look, you're wild," and he say, "Okay, dad, that's fine. I'm sorry." He stopped. You know what I'm saying? But we should be very proud as our fathers and mothers out there that try and make the possible to make the kids good and love each other. You feel me?
Yeah.
Shout out all.
Yeah.
Facts, facts, facts. Okay.
Yes. I'm with it.
She gets pop. Listen, my parents sit down with me after I got whoop ass, whoop ass, and hit. But then she sit down, come back and sit down with me, and then while I did this and that, and then she put everything in order, and then that's how I start learning the discipline. You know, but sometimes, man, it's okay to hit your kids so they can learn, but in the rightful way, not to let use the anger and just like that traumatize the child. But you should basically spank your kids and teach them, listen, what you're doing is wrong. Me, that's how I do with my kids, but I don't spank it because I know how strong I am. So I'm trying to like hitting it in the pop out in the back, and that's it. But other than that, I don't like. I try not to use too much violence. I try to show some more love to them, to my kids, and that's why they love me so much.
Yeah. So more discussion, less aggression, less.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this because that's what first came to my mind, and now I have to apologize. Teach your children to stop doing stuff to have to apologize for.
Yes. Yes. And that I remember my stepmom telling me this. She was like, I had said sorry probably for like the 100th time. And she was
Mhm.
just like, Eruth, are you? And I was like, I am. I really mean this from the bottom of my. And she was just like, but how could you be sorry if you have to keep on saying sorry? And I
Yeah.
was, oh. I didn't know that's how that worked. I thought sorries are just limitless. You could just, you throw them out and when you need
This
to,
is why, this
nope.
is I don't force my kids to apologize to each other unless I have a discussion with them and I say, you know what? If I were
Hmm.
you, I would apologize to your sister for that because you were wrong. But I'm
Yeah.
not going to tell them, go apologize to that boy over there or that girl over there because of what you did.
Yeah.
That's truly not what they feel because I need them to feel like it's genuine because I hate when adults apologize to me when they don't mean it. Don't mean nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember we were trying to teach my oldest daughter to apologize. She used to just, when her and my oldest son were baby, like I think she was probably 2 or 3, and he was probably like about 1. I mean, she just started beating him up from like day one. It was just he never had a break. I mean, I would every time we just be in the room, I was like,
Oh,
what did you do today? And I would just see like the truck on his face, or
oh.
full pillows, and just like she just did not care for him. She was like, why is he here? And I remember one time I think we were getting ready to leave, and I must have spent probably an hour and a half. I was like, I'm not leaving until you apologize to your
Mm.
brother for throwing this truck on him. And she's stomping, temper tantrum, screaming, care. She's like, I'm not going, no, I'm not doing this. I'm just not gonna. Girl, it was a standoff for about an hour and a half. And she
Ari's
never said
Ari
sorry.
do and
Ever.
do she doesn't have to apologize. And once you do make her say, I'm sorry under her breath like that, it's like, girl, what for what?
Just sue it. Like, just acknowledge it and just realize you are in the wrong. She just, no. Mm,
Baby steps.
baby steps. Yep.
Your daughters.
There's always one Eruth.
Al-
Yeah.
Always.
I think it's more so a segregation of cultures when it's concerned because I think some schools that are integrated, they can appreciate the same culture or even a diverse culture in the mix. But I think like in those cases, it's either I think you either love hip hop or you love country or whatever. So I think it's a very
It
I
should be
think
one.
the culture is segregated more so
It
than the
should be
person.
one because all music derives from that continent we call Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it should be one dance for everybody because I don't know about y'all, but my music genre is very eclectic. It's all over the place, and I
Yeah.
like it all because it needs to be.
Yes, it should. Yes.
Hmm. I listen to a lot of Spanish songs, and I don't know what they mean, but I know they feel good.
Mm.
They
Ain't nothing.
feel really
There is nothing. I think that is important. I do think that people do have to listen to different genres. Like you just, it just makes sense. To me, it makes sense.
good. I love it.
Some of the kids in the UK, if you try to put them in order too much, they'll be like threatening to call like social workers on you and stuff. So I don't know. It sends like it's a threat to the parents, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
the children are of paramount importance, and they should be. So they should be, but we that like the way we discipline and the amount of discipline and we can give to our kids nowadays has changed from how it was back in the days.
Yeah.
And a lot of parents also don't appreciate when people do like a stranger steps in and tells them
Mhm.
like what to do. So that guy was brave to do that, and it's a good thing that he did, because it needs a community sometimes to get involved and help out, especially
Yeah.
for single.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kids today, they know too much and they will weaponize the fact that you love them enough to check them or you care enough to discipline them, and they will use uh, resources against you and paint a picture and lie just because they were in the mood that day to lie. And
Yeah.
another, what she said, strangers stepping in, you have to be at a point of acceptance and understand the bigger picture of why the stranger saw something and felt like they needed to step in, and they don't know you from nothing, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, men and women, don't understand that even when it's a domestic situation and it's two adults and someone is getting beat and a stranger steps in to protect, and then both people get mad at that stranger for having to
Mm-hmm.
step in and not mind their business. So it's
Mm.
tricky. And I think a lot of people got fed up because they end up being victims, or they end up being looked at negatively for trying to step in and help, because people are not ready to accept or acknowledge the fact that, you know what, I am dealing with a toxic situation, or I am dealing with something that I shouldn't, or I do recognize that I deserve better. You can't help people if they don't know that they need help.
Yes.
Check out www.whoisshan.com. Now back to my show. Hey moms, are you looking for something stylish to put on, some good accessories, and some must-haves for women? Things that make sense, that snatch us in the right way. Okay, look no more. Chris has you set up, okay? Check out shopicon.com. SHOPICCON.com. Chris is a mom doing it in her own way, okay? She's giving moms like me momentum to go ahead and do our thing, all right? I look up to her. I love her. She's very funny. Check out her podcast. Is It Tuesday? Okay, really real, really good. You can find her and her products on the site. She has shoes, intimate gear, and new arrivals and more. She even has some vintage like items on Once Upon a Time. Okay, has some great pieces and they do go fast. So pay attention and make sure you know when she's about to do a drop. Okay, my favorite items that she has that I'm always reading up on is definitely those satin line caps. Okay, because when the hair is done and the hair is moisturized, you can get the things done. So please check her out and follow her on IG at shop.icon. Peace.
Here we go.
Back to the show.
Back to the show.
Yes.
So it's tricky.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I feel like our generation, I feel like if you are an older millennial, I don't know how I'm not sure exactly like what the older generation Z or the younger millennials are doing, but I noticed that I know for me, like going like when my 20s and I was around when the kids are younger and being around other parents, that I would see other parents like I was cautious. I always caution myself in stepping in to say something to another parent just based off of their behaviors. So if I see that there's a parent that's already loud, popping off, I wish they would. You know what? I can't save. You know, you don't want to hear anything.
Don't save her. She don't
She
want to.
she don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. Just you don't. And I feel bad because I'm like, I could have helped, but the village, this person in whatever village she's living in, she don't take any help. She or he doesn't take any help, and that's a cautionary tale for a lot of, especially for, I think for in the Black community, is that we have sort of this self-righteousness sometimes where it's like I don't want anybody to say something to me because if you say something to me, you're talking about my parenting. No, if I'm saying something to you, I'm just realize that you are in a community with me. Our children are going to have to grow up in a world together and be adults. So I almost have a responsibility to say something to help. But at the same time, you could see some people they don't want to be helped. And all you can do is put that focus on your own child to hope that they'll be the standalone. They'll be the person that stands up and be like, you know what, okay, we not doing this. But it's hard out here for some parents don't want that accountability at all. And that's the worst. That's one of the pet peeves. That's one of the things that bothers me the most. I'm like, so you just go, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a fact.
Yo, that could be the difference though with the whole Walmart beating. Like, back in the 90s, you can get a straight up beating inside of any store and everybody kept it moving. Now they're going to put it on the news and, these parents getting arrested. So that's a whole different thing. You can't really check the kids like you should check them early because you got to check them early so you don't have to beat them.
Yeah.
Throughout, you know what I'm saying? But,
Be consistent with
Yes.
saying. Telling your children no is loving your children.
Yes.
For me, when it comes to human beings, if I spend the time to correct you, that means I care about you. You need to be very disturbed and afraid when I walk away and I don't say anything.
Okay. So
Right? Because that's effort. That's emotional, that's mental, that's me feeling some type of connection to you where I feel like I'm going to help pour into you to make you a better person. But if I don't feel like that's necessary, or I don't feel like you've deserved my time to do that, I ain't say nothing to you. I ain't say.
girl, I remember being one of those, like, I remember getting a spanking from my dad, and my dad used to, when we used to get spankings, my dad used to have us hold our hand out, and we would spank our belt. We didn't get beatings on our behind. You would hold your hands out, and you get the belt on your hands, which was the worst.
Girl, I went
Please,
to school in Philadelphia called Harity Elementary, and they had something called the African Village, and it was for classrooms second grade, third grade, and fourth grade, and the rooms were all connected, but they had like a main door, and the way that they taught was through the African curriculum where we learned about Kwanzaa. the
mm,
the teachers were of a African name, and the way that they disciplined you was not like the rest of the school. It was you hold your hand out in front of the teacher at her desk, and she would hit your hand with a certain ruler. The third grade teacher had a metal gold ruler.
ooh,
The second grade teacher had a wood ruler that you would have to hold your hand out and get hit in. And I forgot what the fourth grade teacher had. And everything we would do as far as like awards would be with all of the three age groups, the three grades. If we did events, it would be like we have a play, and you're a queen and you're this and this is a king. This is how we treat you. So I did love it, but at the same time, because I knew my mom wasn't disciplining anybody, and I would go to school and I have the nerve to have to be disciplined. I
that was my fear though, girl. Because my dad used to tell me, I remember my dad had to sit me down one time, and he was like, "When you go to school, the teacher's your mom and your dad." And I was like, "Wait a minute, wait."
no.
Yes. So when I was in school, I'm like, oh my God, I used to be scared of my teacher. Like, oh my God, my teacher could beat me. And I remember sometimes I would be like, Mr. Charlet. They call my teacher daddy. He was like, no, girl, I'm Mr. Charlet. I'm like, I know, I'm so sorry. But I remember one time too, I got a spanking. I was talking about the spanking I had on my wrists. And I thought I was cute. And I was like telling my teacher and my dad, she's like, oh, what happened to your arm? My dad spanked me. The school called the house. I don't know if it was service or what have you, but my dad was like, "Oh, you think that's gonna stop me from having to spank you? You telling the teacher I spanked you?" I got another spanking after that. I was like, "Oh,
Girl, that's my thing. Like I'm gonna have to. I want my goal is to have these girls get to like age 9, where all I have to do is talk.
yeah,
And this is why I struggle with it a lot, especially with my 3-year-old, because she's very um daring, and
mm,
she that her dad is not about to get on her at the beginning of her stunt until
mm,
she gets into her stunt and he's fed up.
mm,
I get her at the beginning of her stunt. So here she hates the fact that I limit her on 2 hours on the iPad each day. I have her strictly not do this and do that. She cannot just go on my fridge and do what she wants.
mm.
And everything is like, I want my dad. Yesterday she saw her dad because I want to give her an extra hot dog.
Oh my
So
God,
she was on FaceTime. She was like, oh. He was like, what happened, Ari? What is it? I'm about to hang up until you get yourself together. No, don't hang up on me. So he was like, what's going on? So I just walked in the room. I said, she lying. I said she wanted a third hot dog, and I told her no. He was like, man, y'all get off my phone. She is such a
oh,
perpetrator. She has him down, like wrapped around her finger. I'm just like, yo, girl, I already pee.
I mean, she's so adorable. I don't blame her for, like, as a little,
Oh,
like, that's sort of what you try to do with your dad. You're like, hey, girl, I remember when I was probably I was 10, and my dad and I used to use those puppy eyes on my dad for a long time, and he looked down at me one day. He was like, "Damn, the puppy eyes don't work no more." And I was like, oh, "Don't say that out loud. They can't know this.
You're
That was
right.
my message, girl." And he meant what he said. That shit never worked again.
Yo, she be trying it. I'm just like, yo. He was like, man, what's going on over there? She always complains about this. I said, Arya is perpetrating. And I have a picture where she's like crying with the back of her Build-A-Bear open because she was sneaking, taking the stuffing out. I said, uh-huh. I said, let me send this picture to you dad right now because I know you're gonna go to his house and blame your sister for it. And he ain't say nothing to me because there's you can say she's a
Yeah.
man. She's a menace. He be lying.
Oh, they try though. They do try.
I'm just like, girl, I've been you.
Yes. Right.
Ready. There's nothing new you about to tell me.
When your parents said my daddy said I have eyes behind my head, and I did not know what he meant. To this day, he still has eyes behind his head. I'm like, he called my well, we'll play some more messages and I'll story of my son and his
Anya,
girlfriend.
and you'd be like, I went in your room this morning and I got something. I said, Anya, I knew you were in my room. She was like, how did you know you were sleeping? I said, I could hear your cracking knees. Oh. You can't sneak. I got mom ears.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think a lot of new age parents think they could flip the switch when they're 14 or 13 or 12 or 16 and just think that it's going to be all good. But nope, that switch ain't going to work like you think it's going to work.
Yeah. There is a period. What do you think the period is? Like, what do you think the point of no return is? Like, what age before a child is like, it's too late. You can't
Dude,
get them.
it depends on their exposure. It could be 9.
Mm.
Because Ari's dad, when he first had sex, he was 9 years old and the girl was like 14.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then now that, them doing something they have no business doing, it's like one chat away, one abbreviation away. It could be a
Yeah.
lot sooner. So it depends on what limitations you leave in the house because now there is no house phone. There is the cell phone that you allow them to have. And my
Yeah.
kids a cell phone, which we will talk about that because
Mm.
that's on my list of as a mother I do not allow.
Agreed.
Because it's just too much. It's too much that a phone could do unless we go knock them down to that Nokia with the snake thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We bring
Hook
it
you
back.
up with Nokia, you know what I'm saying? Hello, hello, hello. What do we
Can we
need?
back? We definitely need to bring it back.
You know what I'm saying? Like I could do that for you, but play these.
And those who have kids, it's okay to put some hot sauce in your tough love. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm telling you this, it's okay to give love to your kids, but like
Yeah.
she gets sit pot say, listen, you gotta turn the fire on them sometime because being so loved all the time, the kids will learn to be hardcore in the street and being hardcore in school, and they're gonna come back home like they think they own the streets. And trust me, you don't want that because then it's gonna be too late. Put some seasoning, hot sauce in your love, and make that thing tough love. Trust me, and make that fire and teach them and treat them how they train you, but in the rightful way, so they cannot hate you. But tell them that listen, what you guys doing is wrong. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Put some hot sauce on that.
Hot sauce. What Beyonce said? I got hot sauce in my bag.
I can't believe that they gave him 30 years and it doesn't sound like he harmed anybody.
That's
It sounded like
Florida.
a gun went off, but he didn't literally harm anybody.
That's Florida.
That's his whole life gone.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
That's another episode that I do want to do with Eruth about a lot of the states in the South and the Midwest being pipelines of disciplinary action from elementary school. By the time kids turn 18, they put them right in prison.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's usually quote unquote minorities over whites.
Yeah. And there's never any like there's never benefit of the doubt like they might need some mental health treatment or
No.
therapy. Nobody thinks about that. They're just inherently bad, which is
You saw
like you
what they did to that 6-year-old last year, or was she 5?
no, she was 6.
She was
Yeah.
6.
Yeah,
They
arresting her. Yeah.
handcuffed her, put her in a mental facility for 24 hours. Didn't tell her mom anything.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
Didn't explain anything to her mom, and it's just disgusting. It's
Yeah.
just,
Well, look at what they did to the kids and when they to the Central Park 5.
yeah,
Those
and
children, that's child abuse. They
the
forced.
recent one where they pepper sprayed that 9-year-old in the face
Oh yes, yes.
while they were handcuffed.
And then now imagine if this child starts to act out. What are they going to say about her? See, look at her. This is why we did this. No, this is the consequence now. Now the behavior that she knows is violence. That's how she handles things. Because that's how y'all handled the situation with her with violence.
Yeah,
It's just
it's disgusting.
One thing I can say, guys, one thing for whoever's out there, I know some people like rap music and listen to rap music and all that stuff, but I feel like you should not listen to rap music when you are in your car with your kids, because now this rap music is influence of bad influence. You feel me? So I just like I don't let my kids listen rap music. Mostly it's gospel. Mostly it's like, anything positive music. You know what I'm saying? That's all. Or like true music. You know what I'm saying? Like soul music or jazz,
yeah,
stuff like that. I want them to be in a positive influence on music, not rap music or reggaeton and all that. You feel me? That's me. You know?
I understand what you're saying with today's quote
yeah,
unquote rap, but we have to stop penalizing rap music as bad music because let me tell you something. My children know Tribe Called Quest.
yeah,
My children know Fat Boys. My children, they know a lot of 90s and 80s rap artists and rap music and old Busta Rhymes.
yeah.
That does not say shoot him up, shoot him up, shoot him up, kill him, kill him, kill him, whatever, whatever, whatever. That's a whole genre of music that is being swept under the dirt by a lot of people of today because today corporations and people have backed money behind the trash of
Mhm,
music being put out. I will
mhm.
never tell my children you can't listen to rap music is bad or rap music is terrible. Today's music is terrible.
Yeah,
But I listen to old hip hop and rap with my kids to tell them it's just another medium of writing a story, telling a story, and this is how they do it in country. This is how they do it in this culture. This is what it came from. You can break this down into a poem. You can do a sonnet behind this. Like it's a way to teach your kids, and if you don't teach them about something that comes from us,
yeah,
you're going to leave them with nothing. So
yeah.
I do pick. Like I will never sit in my car and listen to Luke with my girls in the car, and when it comes on and you hear right, right, and I hear that I'm like and then
I
Anya's
go.
like, why you here up? I'm like, that's not the song we about to listen to. Like I
Yeah,
make a playlist for the girls. And I
yeah.
have a playlist that says the girls. So when I'm writing, I don't have to think about it or I don't have to jump at songs. But I do agree like certain music is not for your children. But at the same time, my daughter was 5 when she was in the back seat and she asked me what the N-word was and why people use it.
Mm,
And I had to explain it to her because if your children can recognize it, they know
mhm.
how to say it, They just need you to break it down to them. And I explained it to her how it works both ways. And I told her you should never find yourself in a position where you have to use it. And if
Yeah.
you're talking to people and they use that to talk to you, or they use that to get your attention, you walk away from them and you don't speak to them.
Yeah.
Because you have to allow your children to know what these words are. That
Yeah.
way, when you're not around and they're in the middle of other kids, they don't have themselves trying to befriend people who don't have the right, ideas for them or the
Yeah.
well-being of them. And they need to know who they don't need to be around by the words that they hear. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I let them listen to everything, but I explain everything to them.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too where it's like, you know, I feel like all of our kids have their own personalities too. It's like, so my youngest daughter, she's not into listening. She won't watch anything inappropriate. She will excuse herself out of the room, and I'm like, Karina, where are you going? She's like, no, I'm fine. I'm just gonna go in my room and mind my business. Like,
Oh,
she just does not. She won't do it, and you can't convince
yeah,
her. And
I'm
you
with
gotta
her
tell her.
because
Hmm.
I'm 33. Two kids have came out of my vagina. My mom was there both times. She
Yeah,
knows that I know what it takes to make a child, and I
yeah,
still cannot watch sex scenes with my mother in the room.
yeah. It is uncomfortable, and that's
Yeah,
the thing. I think some kids have like their own radar, their own natural radar to be like, nope, I'm not with it. And then
fact.
there's the kids who are like, I'm with it. You need to know. You're the one that needs to know the difference. You can't
Yeah.
be, I'm with it. You know, you're too, yeah, you're acting grown. Link.
Listen, I was scrolling through my Instagram on Cozy Room page, and a lot of women on there they post like women having birth. And this lady was like standing up squatting, and Ari saw her like naked, and there was like a man to the side waiting to catch the baby, and she saw like the beginning of the baby head. She was like, "Oh no!" She was like, "Scroll up, scroll up." She was not trying to see this baby come out of this woman's vagina. And for her to be 3 years old and she knows like, no, this is not my place. I'm not
Yeah,
supposed to be looking at this. This is good. We had a
yeah.
good place.
And then also to the fact that like just subconsciously she's so much closer to that experience. She's like, why do I need to relive this? I'm fine,
Yeah,
thank you. No, thank you.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
She said, excuse me? I said, take your titty out his mouth.
Yes, yes. I
That's
had an ex where I felt like his mom still had the titty in his mouth. Yeah,
that's hard right there. Mm-mm.
that was horrendous, honey.
I ain't gonna lie, that whole potato family just seemed like a bunch of fries to me.
Shut up,
I
Kev.
know. Oh God.
Excuse me. Kids acting grown ain't cute. My
Yeah.
daughter is 2 months old, and that woman tries to talk to me, and her acting grown is the cutest thing I've ever seen. So you dumb and wrong.
No,
Okay.
when they're that little, that is cute. When they're like, and no, 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 no. You like, okay,
Yeah. I'm
that's
talking
right.
about when they can actually talk back to you and act a certain way and try to check you, and
Yeah,
I can't. Like I will pull over on you and we can have a conversation.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right, man. Salsa is amazing. She gets to sip pot. I listen to my salsa, reggae,
Yeah.
some reggae. I listen reggaeton on my own. I don't try. I try not to let my kids listen reggaeton. But I listen my reggaeton. I listen my salsa, merengue, bachata. I listen reggae. Mostly I listen reggae. I have all the albums of Bob Marley. I love reggae. Yes, I'm Spanish, but I'm reggae. I'm reggae full blast, and my
yeah,
kids love it when they listen to Bob Marley. Dad, that's Bob Marley. That's Bob Marley. I said, yeah, that's Bob Marley. Yep, that's right. Yeah, that's why. That's why I love my guy right there. Rest in peace, my man. But yeah, yep.
I
girl.
I let my
You know,
kids listen to reggae.
Yes, and I mean, that's the thing too. Like, I think it is important for us to introduce the songs that our parents played. Like, my kids, you'll find my son sometimes he'll be listening to opera, and I'm like, okay, yes, sir, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's this artist named Benjamin Clementine. He has a song called "I Won't Complain." The whole album is very like abstract. It's just different, but it's like a mixture of like opera with I don't even know. It's just very different. I even like country too. But I do think it's important for kids to have like a wide variety of what they're listening to because there's so much to learn from it. But I do remember this song that was inappropriate when I was little, which was cent, 5 cent, 10 cent, dollar, give me dollar, 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 dollar. And I remember people dancing, and I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to see people.
Girl, there was a song that came on today about poom poom shorts. Um, my kids don't connect to that because nobody explains to them what that is. But
Yeah,
I know it is now, and I still listen to reggae from the '90s because that's just me. I
yeah,
listen to Sanchez, Bob Marley, a lot of Buju,
yes,
um,
a lot of his
and
new
they
stuff.
they don't know what it means, but they know it is reggae. They know it's Jamaican music,
Yeah,
and they've been bopping to it since they were babies. But
yeah,
I expose them to all of that because that's your job as a parent until they can find their way. And my mom loves country. My mom loves Reba McEntire. She loves her
yeah,
one, like all of that. And I've never been like, this is all we listen to. We listen to this. But her mom, girl, if her mom, my grandma ever heard you or saw you dancing or listening to any music other than gospel, there was a shoe being thrown, a book, something was being thrown at your heels because that is not of the God, okay?
that's a hard world. I know friends who are like, I can't listen to that, or they'll be like, no, that is inappropriate, and I'm like, it's not that, but that's not what grandma say.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
My mom really kind of stopped hitting me because guess what? Who came to the picture was my grandmother, and my grandmother said to my mom, "I said, listen, you don't have to hit him no more. Do what I used to do to you guys in the back of the day." What? So my mom started telling me, okay, there's rice in the floor. I'm looking at the floor. I said, why is the rice in the floor? And I was like, oh, it's for you. I said, what do you mean? Ooh. I need you to kneel in those rice and stay there for like 1 hour, and and put your chest up. Do not put your body down. Put your chest up, and you gotta stay there for 1 hour. That was the worst pain I ever had in my entire life. Yeah. And that, without hitting kids, without discipline, it's all mentally. Yeah. And trust me, I never did what I had to do.
That's what you call a consequence right there. That's
that
kids have
a consequence. That in movies. With Anya, sometimes I'm just tired of like threatening and getting. I'd be like, just stand there and hold your arms out, straight out. Yeah. She can't handle 2 minutes of that, and sometimes that's it. You just need to know, like, I'm done, I'm tired, and I'm not gonna waste any more energy on you. But some kids be needing your energy.
Yeah, no push up. The push ups was in our house, or either that or they'd stand. We'd have them stand in the wall for a while, or after a while, my son he would just be dancing on the wall, playing around, leaning up and down. I was like, you know what? You get in the tub, go sit in the tub. Isolation, he can't deal with isolation. So that was like his lesson. Like, okay, let me get my stuff together because I don't want to be out here by myself. I want to see what everybody else is doing. I'm not a part of the crew. Yeah. So that's this thing. You got to find. It is true to finding the things that your kids will respond to. Yeah. Because the spankings, yes, it can go only but so far for some kids. Like I said, my stepbrother, he probably got spankings for I don't know the first maybe like 5 years, 6 years of his life, and then after that, it was just like he was doing all kinds of craziness. So it didn't. And I remember my dad and him getting into it because he used to try to come for and test my dad. And my dad is one of the old school Jamaican Rastafari. He don't play no games. You're not gonna get far. Yeah. And they would try him. And some kids will just keep trying, keep trying trying parents. But once you know what their consequences, what the things that the thing that really, really, really dig into them,
Mm-hmm.
rice need, you don't have to tell me anything twice. I got you the first time. I understand.
That's
Mm-hmm.
all I be wanting, Eruth. I don't want to talk twice. That's it.
Mm-mm.
That's it.
I,
I'm very.
I ain't saying that my parents had to talk to me a couple times. They did. I was troublesome. Eventually, I became troublesome. But after that one lesson, nope. I don't need it. Mm-mm. I'm straight. You right.
I don't think we're gonna ever get down to 5, so I'm gonna just
Yeah, let's just roll with it.
the list of what society gives kids today that I don't like. Society gives kids phones,
Yeah.
tablets, hoverboards, adult games, money. They're very money driven now. They don't want to work, but they want money.
Yeah.
Kids shows where they have relationships and appear at the mall, but we don't know how they got there. And full access, full access internet, and they talk like grown-ups because you put them in grown-up situations. What kid show right now can your child watch and they can see other kids doing homework?
Mm,
What kids show right now shows all the parents within the kids show playing a part? It's
mm.
just like kids upon kids upon kids. And
Yeah.
my thing is like that's not the real world. That's not how you function. And
Yeah.
kids, they can automatically be independent because they see other kids being independent and they have too much.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely I think one of my pet peeves is also the cell phones. We did not give our children my oldest son, he's 14, he still doesn't have a cell phone. My oldest daughter, she's 16, she has her cell phone, but we have to take it away from her because if we let her go, she will get distracted because they are distractions.
Yeah.
And then the fact that all you got to do is go to private and browser, and I've heard other parents say this. Oh, well, you could put controls, and these kids, they could break this stuff, make it, create a whole new app, tell you how to use the app, teach you how to troubleshoot. They're not fools. They know how to navigate through this stuff. You don't think that they'll know how to come in and break the password? I'm not even going to give them the opportunity. No, you don't need a cell phone. When you're in school, guess where you can go to? The administrator's office. They got a phone
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah. I even on Anya's tablet, I took off the fact that she could have a password on the
Mm,
tablet and download stuff, and I have it where it's just my fingerprint when she want to download stuff. So every time she wants a game, I gotta put
yeah.
my finger and I'll get it because kids don't have self control. You have to help
Yeah.
them build, and
Yes.
you give them everything without work and dedication and waiting and earning.
Yeah.
They'll never respect it enough to be like, let me take care of this.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like, no, I'm gonna leave it on the floor. I'm gonna step on it sometimes. I'm going to throw it. If it breaks, I'm just go to my mom or my dad, and they're going to fix it, or they'll buy me another one. I'm not
Yeah.
spending $400 on another iPad.
Yeah. And you know what too? Another thing for me too is like this thing of like kids can't be bored. Like they always have to have something in their hands to do. No, go sit down in the room by yourself and go think about some things. Think about what
Yes,
life is like in the next 10 years. I don't know. Go have a fantasy about you winning, being in an award show. Like just go and think about your life. It's okay. You'll be fine. You don't have to have anything. You got a
I
room, a
yeah,
bathroom,
I've
food,
been a body.
love.
I want to say I've been a homebody all my life. Okay, there is no AA meeting for me. This is who
Yeah.
I am. I can spend all day as a child in the house,
Yes.
going in closets, looking up stuff, looking behind the stairs, going through like my dad's desk and finding interesting things and going in the basement. It's a adventure, okay? And then when we lived in Maryland, it was normal for my mom to be like, all right, you did your multiplication tables because that was a thing before you could go outside. You did your work. You did your writing. Now you can go outside and come back in at
Yeah.
6 o'clock. You ain't got no watch to know it's 6 o'clock. You ain't don't nobody's giving you the time. You just know that it's getting kind of dark. I'm
Yes.
bugs. I'm hearing bugs and crickets. It's time. So you gotta go. So I'm gonna be honest. My kids are not going outside and coming back in at 6 o'clock, and I'm trusting them because we are in a different age and time.
Right.
I'm not saying that there weren't pedophiles and people that prey on kids back then. There were, but now it's just like people are bold, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah. It is. It's a scary thing because I remember when our kids would go out. I mean, I remember there was these little girls that used to live down the street, and I would tell my youngest daughter, you can only go in front of the house, behind the house, in the backyard where I can see you, and
Mm.
that's it. Now, once I went and met their parents, and I kind of sat outside and watched them play for a little bit, I was like, okay, you can go 3 houses down because in the neighborhood we have, like the cul-de-sac has like there's at least 5 kids. No, it was like one, two, three. It was like 4 or 5 kids or 4 or 5 houses where all the kids play with each other. So they would either
Yeah.
be able to go behind the backyard of our next door neighbor because me and her mom we talk regular. Their mom talked regularly or pretty regularly, and
Mm-hmm.
then they'd be able to go down to the other house. But for the most part, they knew like by the time like 5 o'clock, it's time to come in the house, and you can't go in nobody's house. And don't let me find out you going to somebody else's house and
Yep.
you never see them again.
Yep.
Sorry, but not sorry.
That's a fact.
The other one, it was grabbing 2 liters of water, sit down
Ooh,
on the wall,
ooh.
like air sit,
What?
like you sit down in the air, and then you grab the big bottles and you put your hands up, right?
Yeah.
And then you had rice in the floor.
Jesus.
Beans in the floor. She put beans in the floor,
Mm.
and I had to basically put my feet on top of the beans and put the gallons. And trust me, that's a mentally situation, and that's not even hitting nobody. That was okay at the end of the day because you're not using physical attack. So I cannot even call the cops. I cannot do anything as a kid. So basically, I have to absorb it and do it. That's it. That's how I learned my disciplines.
Yeah.
Like that.
Mm.
That's hard. Could you imagine? I wonder how old he was when he'd be like 8 years old when holding on to some bottles. Like,
Listen,
yeah.
strong. Why is that 7-year-old so strong?
Okay. Look, my kids be like complaining. They'd be like, "Mommy, my stomach hurts." I was just like, didn't you have to do push-ups like yesterday? That's why your stomach hurt.
Yeah,
Oh no,
abs are
sit up.
abs.
Everything hurt. Yeah, my abs hurt. Yeah, that's what happens when you do push-ups.
Oh yeah, daddy.
I cannot.
Hey, what's going on, She Gets It Pod? I have a lot of questions about this African village, but I'm just going to stick to one. Did y'all did y'all walk around the school like Major Payne's kids, just like real, like together and
Yeah.
like y'all had y'all shit together?
Yeah. We I remember we had like a play where we had to have like our own like African outfits and head wrap and stuff. My mom bought the fabrics and made everything. When we would go to the bathroom, it was like uh partner to partner, hand in hand.
Mm.
The dress them was different. Um when we went on field trips, it was different. It was just everything. I mean, it was good. It was good structure. I would say that, but yeah, it was interesting.
You think they could say? You think that some of the approaches that we're talking about that's happening today? You think how do you think the kids will respond to it? Like a kid who's always had a cell phone, who's always had his own or her own privacy. How would they respond to having to be put in kneeling on rice
They
or stand
they
beans on?
could they would want to call in the Fed. They couldn't handle that. What you mean though? You
Yeah,
know what you
yeah.
mean? Got an extra charger? It would be a whole fit.
It would
Oh
be a
my
whole.
God, you ladies are taking me way back. Now, when I was in school, if we acted up, we could get paddled by the principal, but they had to call our parents to find out if they could have permission to do that. My pops was the one who would come to the school and do it for the principal. And I still remember, I'm a mom of 6. I have 3 girls and 3 boys, and I'm old school and a little bit of new school. So I will talk with my kids, but once we've crossed that threshold where you understood, okay, you get in the business. And I still remember my oldest falling out in the pharmacy, and I took her to the bathroom to handle business. And this little Oriental lady, this Asian woman, she was like, "Oh my God, what's the matter? You give her candy." I was like, "No, she's not getting candy for bad behavior." So culturally, there are some differences, but also still in the Asian community, you can get your butt caned if you don't act right. So this has been a great conversation. It's taking me back, and my kids, they crack up laughing at me when I talk about whooping other people's kids.
She said, "Oh my God, you gave her candy. What?"
Listen, as I was listening to her, I was thinking to myself, I know Asian, I used to have Asian friends who were terrified of their parents. I never knew why. Their parents was fucking them up, okay?
Yeah, they were. They were
And like fast too, in the mouth, wherever. And I'm like, dang, like this is the fear that they put in them. There's no, that's no.
Look,
I
I
want to grow up in a house.
is Bruce Lee your daddy?
Girl. And then with the philosophy afterwards, then the whole conversation, then it's the guilt. I remember this girl I knew, and she was talking about how she had grown up poor, and her dad used to, they used to spank her or whatever. But she said that, you know, with this, it was so crazy how she was telling this story, because she was saying how she was ashamed of her father because he used to have like this really like low, like this low level job. Like he used to clean like toilets or something she said. And so when she would walk by the school with her friends, you know, she would basically like try to walk the way around his job, but he would, the way that he would check to see, you know, how, you know, good evening, you know, go tell your mom this or whatever. Tell your mom when I get home, I'm going to do that. So she was so ashamed of her father about the job that he was working. And I mean, all these years later, I mean, he spanked her and everything. Like, she talked about the fear of growing up in the household and stuff. But all those years later, that one thing that she really felt bad about was the fact that she was ashamed of her father. Not the spankings, but just the fact that she was ashamed of her father. I think the story that she told was like, her father asked her, like, why didn't you come by the school this day? Or why haven't you been, why haven't you come by my job? Why haven't you been walking by the job? And every time she said, she would tell him, oh, you know, I don't know. I went the other way because, you know, some excuse. And of course, she'd get a spanking. But to this day, she's like, that's the one thing that she felt so ashamed of, that she had so much shame that her father's job was like so like embarrassing.
I would say one thing about that is that's what Janelle Monáe's dad did, or her parents did. They did janitorial work, and that's what she said started her wearing suits. And like suits is the fact that nobody could tell if she was poor or not because of how well dressed she made sure she looked. You know, it shapes people.
It does. It does. Even the spankings. I mean, just to go back and forth, like it. I mean, I'm not saying, for me, I don't. If my kid did something so dangerous that I had to step in and say, okay, like I can't even talk to you. Like, I'm gonna have to, like, and I believe in the punishment. Like, I would do the right thing straight. I think we'd started doing the right thing at some point. Kevin was like, that's too intense. I was like, you think it's too intense?
My Jasmine rice on no punishment.
Huh? What you say?
Y'all not using my Jasmine rice on no punishment.
Girl, you better get a cheap dollar store ice.
I cannot.
Man, the one with the rice, I was crying like crazy. I was crying, man. I cannot. When I go to the morning to go to school, I can't even walk. I was so sore, and my mom is like, "This is happening when you disrespect for a teacher, and then you start running around, or you start steal things for your friends, or steal things in school. This is what's gonna happen." And I'm like, oh man, this is the worst. But hey, I did it. I had to do it. If it's that, it will be whoop. They're gonna whoop. And I was like, nah, I'll do the rice. I don't want no whoop. So yeah.
I would have took that beating.
I would have taken the spanking too. It's fast. You know, you could go to sleep.
Listen, sleep it off.
Okay.
And as far as kids acting grown ain't cute, you are absolutely right. I have explained to my kids that you're not grown until you can manage your own life. You got your own health insurance, life insurance, auto insurance, you're paying your bills. Like, that's grown. So if
Yeah.
you're still depending on mom, then you're an adult. You know, you're getting to that stage of being grown. But when they slip or get beside themselves because they're an adult, no, not with mine. If you turn 18, that just means you're legally liable for your own stuff that you
Yeah.
do, but you still have to mind your parents until you get to a place where you are managing your own life, and then you may confer to me as an advice giver should you need it. But again, this has been great. Glad I stumbled on you ladies.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Anya always asks me randomly, like, when can I use like the S word and the F word? Girl, when you're old enough to live by yourself, not need me, could pay all of your bills and then some of my bills, and have your own car and your own house, and I could come visit. You could say whatever you want.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, that's gonna be a long time. I said, sure is.
Well,
Like, I'm not
she know
giving you
what side,
no pass to cuss in front of me.
she know what side her bread is buttered on, as they
This
say.
is gonna be a long time. All right. Shoot.
Mm.
When can I say the F word? Ma'am, if you don't.
At least she asked.
The
What?
tipping point could be wherein the child is taught about evolution. Period.
Interesting.
Okay.
What's up, girls? Can I have a large pepperoni pizza, please?
I caught that one. It was hard to get the other ones. Ooh,
I think
Lord.
kids' ages
That
of accountability does vary depending on like upbringing and things.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, my youngest is 12, and while he understands the gist of what's right and wrong, what he's supposed to do and not supposed to do, there are some areas where, yeah, he's still, you know, juvenile in his thinking because he's supposed to be. Whereas I have a 20-year-old, she knows how to say things that are rude and disrespectful. Well, oh, she's completely accountable for what she's doing. Her brain is developed enough to know that what she does is right or wrong. So it depends on the child, you know, because in the same way I have a cousin, she has the mind of maybe a 12 or 13-year-old, but she's in her 50s, but that's a developmental thing, but she still even knows right and wrong to a degree. So it depends.
Yes. I agree.
I love hearing that perspective at the end. Like, yeah, because you teach them. I mean, that's the point, is that they do know. You know, I think this is the testing. You know, I do. It's one thing I fear. I do hope, like, I hope not my daughters don't ever feel like it's okay to get froggy with me because they got the little 20.
Girl,
So please don't do it. Please,
girl.
please.
Listen, I'm ready. Where's the Vaseline? I got ponytails, grow my hair back. I'm ready. Bring it.
Listen, I hate Florida. This state is wild. I don't know. I think this state is like a clown. Lost. It's
I
like a
don't like
clown.
this.
I'm sorry, man. This state is not cool. I see children that just starting being grown up, like 17. They just lost to be teenagers, and now they end up in jail, or 15, 17. And Florida don't care to ruin children's life. They don't care. As long as they arrest them and they just put them in, but that's it. I wish there's a program for them to do something, but Florida don't care. They ruin people's life.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's why I got tired of the state. I'm trying to move out. I'm leaving the state. So
Yeah.
trying to make a better place. I don't know where, but I'm trying to find somewhere else for my kids, because this state is not. It's wild for me.
That's a fact.
Yeah. The sentencing there is outrageous, but also on top of that, there's this competition of, even with adults. So everybody's trying to out Jones each other, and the kids see this too. You know, name brand is important. You know, which it is fine if that's important to you, but the value system is very materialistic. Everybody's trying to get a dollar quick. there's a lot of fraud in this state. I'm not saying everybody's, participating in fraud and stuff, but a lot. And so these kids are seeing all this stuff, and he's so right though. Like I know 11, I knew 11 and 12, I knew fifth graders that were having full on relationships with like 17-year-olds.
Oh yeah.
And I used to wonder where are your parents? Like, and I'm not mad because people's circumstances are people's circumstances, but it's true that the state has failed parents and it has failed children.
Yeah. There's more money in the aftermath than there is in the preventative in
Yeah.
America, and especially in southern states like Florida, Texas, and Georgia. You get if I just allow you to slip up from elementary, middle school, and high school, and then that one thing that you do when you're 18 because of all your charges and your disciplinarian stuff puts you in jail, and then I could get 30 grand off of you each year.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you mess up.
Yeah. It's yeah.
It's
What
mad. That's a,
misery and failure is another man's commodity in Florida, and it is rampant. I
yeah.
haven't seen it here in Georgia just yet because I don't go. I mean, I guess I haven't lived life outside. I've not really lived the Georgia life. I haven't gotten out as often as I probably should. I had a friend of mine whose daughter, she was very, very. I loved her. I love her. She was awesome. But we went to her birthday party. Me and my youngest daughter went to the birthday party when she was probably, I think she was 6 that year, and everything that everybody's supposed to be enjoying together, like the cake, the party, the musical they're playing musical chairs, the balloons, everything that was at the party, she was like, it's mine, it's mine. And my daughter was looking at me like, we drove driving back home, she was like, mommy, I don't think I want to go back to another party. And we would go to the party here, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to go back either. I was like, not no judgment, it's just like sometimes you can see that people that the yes, I remember that she was very like disciplinary. She would spank her daughter when she needed to spank her.
mm-hmm.
But just those little things, like when you're giving your child everything in front of everybody when they're having a tantrum, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
it's your party. Of course, you could say what you can have everything you want to have this party, but what's the whole point of you having a party and bringing other people to it for the child to be allowed to act spoiled there? You know what I mean? Like, what are you reinforcing? And from that point, I was like, you know what? I can love you still. I can still support you in other things, but I don't know if I can let this be an example to my children. And the fact that my daughter, who's 6, is pointing it out, I was like, oh, like, you right.
That's a sneaky way to fail your kids too, is by
Yeah,
giving them everything and making sure you know enough people that have kids your child's age and can come, right? But that's not all of it. Does your child have social skills? Does
yeah,
your child know when to not be first and be okay with it? Does your child know that, today is not about you? Can they handle that? Can they share a space with other children that are different? And if your child can't, you have work to do.
yeah,
I can send you to private school. I can make sure you fly from head to toe. I can get you the best tutors. I can make sure we have the nicest house. You have your books. You're comfortable. The bills are paid. But if you don't have social skills and you cannot um, be within other kids around your age and be comfortable, I did not do what I need to do as a parent.
yeah, yeah.
So do the work.
Yeah, there's radio rap and then there's rap.
Yeah,
True.
that's that, Jack.
As
I
far as music
rap.
goes, like I'll have my kids listening to like some Mozart when they're doing their schoolwork, and
Come
when
on,
it
Mozart.
comes to them selecting the style that they listen to, it all comes down to the message of the song.
Mm-hmm.
If the lyrics, whether it be rap or R&B or pop or rock, if the lyrics aren't conducive for their well-being, then I challenge them to question, what is it about this song that you like? Well, if it's just the beat, okay, let's find the instrumental. Or take it another step and be creative and rewrite the song, have your own version. But I don't allow them to feed themselves with things that promote violence, music that promotes things that go against what our household morals are and ethics are, because those things do go in, and it's when they're not necessarily trying to activate that part of them, it shows. It emotes from them.
Let me say, there are certain artists I can't listen to while I'm driving because I'll get super like aggressive. Rick Ross, Future, um, Kanye West, Dark Twisted Fantasy, just certain music like MOP.
Yes.
Certain music I have to avoid while I'm driving because I will speed. I will be aggressive. I will cuss you out. And I have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
And certain music, if I'm in a certain mood, there has to be a playlist for my mood because my mood will shift depending on what I'm listening to. So it is important to be aware of what you're listening to.
Yeah.
Because your kids they're mirroring everything.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting too? I remember the first time, I mean, I was under the influence at the time. But I was listening to like all the stuff that the kids listen, like the eight, the No Flex Zone that
Yeah.
kids, right? And there was a bunch of other kids too. And I remember listening to the music. I was listening to the beat, and I was like, well, number one, okay, there's really interesting thing that's happening, which I can appreciate that in Black society we have found a way to still be creative, right? There is still something to the fact that the music, even though it don't make no damn sense, the beat, the rhythm, it does draw people to it. It is drawing people to the culture, so it still can lead you to finding music from the 90s that makes sense, right? And I remember listening to what's that song, All My Friends Are Dead, something something.
Boy, depressing. That is
Girl,
the epitome of kids are crying, or no, not crying,
yes,
but they need help and they're
yes,
asking for help in a different way, and we're getting it in this depressing, give me a beat music.
yes. But at the same time, I started asking my son about the song. I was like, okay, what does that song mean to you? Like, what do you get from it? What are you learning from it? Like, he's like, yeah, just like you could hear that he's going through like a lot of stuff. He lost a lot of friends. Like, he lives in a really bad situation. And I'm like, well, what do you think about that? What do you think about for you that, for you, you're not having to experience that, but why is it drawing what is drawing you to that song? And it's of course the catchiness. Da, 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 da. Oh my, like the catchiness is gonna keep everybody's song. I mean, catch everybody. But to your point of how depressing it is, like just for him to have some exposure that there is somebody else that's living a life that in their experiences, their friends are dying around them because of gun violence, and it almost like we all took a step back, and he was like, yeah, I didn't, this is like really sad. Like, I'm so glad, like, I don't have to live like that, so some of it can be teachable moments, that's her point, what she was saying. And then I think the other parts of it is when it becomes like, okay, I'm going to mimic it. I'm going to parrot it. I'm going to glamorize it because I want to be like it. Like, you don't have to be like it. If somebody's telling their story and that story is unfortunately a sad story, we can all experience it together, but get the point of what the story is about. Get the point of what the song is trying to tell you without trying to make it something else and then think that it's like, ooh, now I got to keep making songs like this, keep putting this shit on the radio, and the new genre, that's like the new wave now. No, it's just, this is his interpretation of his life. We don't have to try to monetize it and make it a whole genre of depressing, sad music, unless that's truly what your life is like.
Yeah.
I understand she gets I don't, I'm not saying old type rap music. If I'll let them listen to old type of music, but this new generation music is not good. I understand what you're trying to say. Like back in the day, 90s music, 80s music, rap music, that was okay to listen. That was cool. Funky music, rap music, cool and all that. That was good. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying this generation, mama. That's all I'm saying. This generation rap music is not good for the kids. Back in the day, Biggie, Smalls, all these back in the day, all these small. That was true rap. You know what I'm saying? But now everything is all about sex and all this crap, and it's just like not good for the kids, man. That's all I'm saying. Not disrespectful to the rap because I listen to rap too. You know.
Well, I mean, Biggie stuff was a little
Listen, I
crazy.
cannot let my children listen to Ready to Die
Yeah,
album.
yeah, I can't. And then the whole spinoff with the Kim, I
Listen,
I
listen.
was,
I still can't listen to that skit.
yeah,
I
yeah,
can't listen to him choking off the blunt still.
yeah.
But
Supported the turn. We could be like there was some turn. I mean, that wasn't the turn because Two Live Crew was probably the turn, but amongst others. But I mean, that's when Cardi B's was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna be like Kim." That's when the Nickies was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna be like Kim." That's when
yeah,
a whole lot of the Sweeties, I'm gonna be like Kim, and that's what we got now.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's evolved. Nobody's hiding anything now.
yeah,
Come on, ride that train. Yeah, that's mine. Like, mommy can listen to that by herself.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
Choo
was and ride it.
Spanish. I try to teach my kids the Tainos, teach the black history, mostly the black history. You guys have more of the most history, and you guys are being more hitting. So I end of the day, we as a Latino, we never got too much influence more than the black people.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, mostly I teach my kid the truth, and then I try and teach my kids the black history and about like the Bibles and the Hebrews, and I'm trying to teach everything in the rightful way to how where we end up here. You know what I'm saying? And my son is very interested. He loves history, but I'm trying to teach the right way to understand the situation. Not it's because the schools don't teach you that. Us as a parent, we're supposed to be teaching our kid our history. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We do, especially if you send your kids to public school. We gotta
For
let them come
real.
home, decompress, unlearn, and then teach them what's the truth.
Yeah,
And then if your teacher tell you that that's not true, tell them to call me, or we could
yeah,
fight. We could fight. Because America is very stuck on, oh, we know this is not the truth, but this is how we've always done it. Well, just because you've always done it that way doesn't make it right. And I'm into telling my kids the truth. And when my children watch stuff, um now Anya knows, like, oh, they were treated like that because of their skin color, or they
yeah,
were treated like that because that was white only back then,
yeah,
or it can't sit here because of this. Like, she knows those connections now, and she could tell you like when this show took place. There was two separate schools, or there was rules for like how you looked,
yeah,
and that's very important to talk about because that still happens today. So she needs to know it's happening because of what happened.
yeah. And then even the fact that the kids are they're just some of them sometimes they're just like none of anything that's happening right now is making any sense. Why
Yeah.
are y'all letting this happen? Like what this none of this makes any sense. Which is why I think that people do know better, because I think kids do know.
Mm.
As small as, I mean, 3 and 4 year old kids, they know wrong from right too. So it is interesting that you have some of these kids that are like want to runaway trains, and then really they're runaway trains because sometimes it is that parents can't handle it. Sometimes there's I have a friend of mine, a coworker of mine who's dealing with something like something where her child is a little bit out of control, and my niece has also been in a situation where she's been hitting her teacher, biting the teacher, beating the bus,
Oh.
doing all kinds of stuff. And she came to my house, and I guess she thought she was gonna. I didn't see that. My sister was like, "Yeah, I gotta let you know in advance that yeah, she's does all these, like, she's terrible." And I'm like, "No, she's so cute. She can't be terrible. Don't you put that on her, okay?" And then
Mm.
I was like, "Oh, okay. So she thinks she's an adult, the child that thinks she's grown, that she thinks that she can level with adults." And I had to talk to her as if she was an adult. And I was like, "Listen, you are 5. You
Yeah.
look how little, look at your feet. You see how little, look at my feet. You see how little your feet are? You see how big my feet are? I'm an adult. You're a little child. Now maybe you feel like in your body that you're an adult, but until you get to the place where your feet look like mine, that's when you're an adult. And until that happens, you're gonna do what I tell you to do. Or
Right.
else these things are gonna happen." I had to talk to her. I had to spank her. I just sat there and talked to her, looked her dead in the eye. She looked at me like, "Bitch, I'll kill you." I was like, she was
Oh
staring at me. "Oh,
my
are you killing me now? Why are you looking at me? Like, it was too much. But at the same time, there are kids out there that are just I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just that there's something like there's not a filter, so they're not getting it. Like even with the spanking, it just doesn't resonate. They're just like they just act out, like they just lash out. And I don't know what the solution is for them, but I'm like, thank the Lord, I didn't have any of them.
Those kids, they just need more consistency. So, like, if you check them once just because you happen to be around today, they'll never respect you, even though they know you're right. But if you
Yeah,
keep back like every Friday, oh, every Friday she gonna be here. Okay, well, I
yeah,
guess I'll just calm myself down a little bit, and that's how they are.
I agree. It
Mm.
is a
This is when you go to school, when you're taking your kids to school, people in school, they're not teach you the history of where I'm from, like say Puerto Rico. They're not going to teach you that. No, they're not going to teach you how black people came to the United States. They're not going to teach you from the beginning how everything. They're going to tell you only what America did. You know what I'm saying? What the every single thing what happened in America. And that's what is going on right now. It's just that influence. Us as a parents, we have to teach the history. It don't matter, you know what I'm saying? But I have books, man. I got black history, I got Hispanic history, I got Tainos, I got Native Americans, all that history in my house. I teach my kid the truth. That's what it is, you know what I'm saying? If you don't teach this to the kids, they'll be confused. They're gonna be in some alien history type, conspiration.
Yeah.
Conspiracy, you know what I'm saying? All that crap,
yeah, yeah. Say that again, the last part, because that I'm
Conspiracy. There is a room on Clubhouse every week that is like 160 people deep on conspiracies.
Is it the preservation one?
I don't know. I'm
Oh,
just like y'all
let's see.
back. This is a lot. It's like a lot. I don't
I,
have no problem talking about stuff like that to enlighten, but
yeah,
I need you to talk about the problem, and that before we finish, we gonna have a solution. If you don't have
yeah,
a solution to that problem, let's not talk about it.
yeah. Because sometimes you hear the conversation is just like it's like it must like these things. This is such an important conversation that these things must be true, and I'm like, it's not tangible. Like we're not doing anything with this other than sitting here.
Bye.
Bye.
I mean, you would think that we were finished talking, but we're not. So part 2 is coming up. And yes, I labeled it episode 4.5. Bye.